To conclude this weekend Wednesday, a Wednesday I treat like a weekend day. Today is Wednesday, October 2025. Pardon me, I have the hiccups. I've decided to return to kind of the topic I started the day with, which I started the day with 2 story times in relation to sailing. And so it's like, one thing I've brought up previously on this channel before today is, maybe sailing the ocean solo. And so I'm going to actually return to that a little bit. So would I sail the Atlantic Ocean solo to carry on the legacy of my ancestor, Matthew Fuller? So he sailed the ocean in the early to mid 1600s via wooden ship. He was a captain of his own ship, and according to family lore, at the least, he sailed his own ship solo across the Atlantic Ocean. And it's been, over 300 years now. Like 300.00 years. Over 300 years. And it's, would I try and do that? So I have one sailing lesson. I grew up on rowing our dinghy, which also had an outboard motor. We had kayaks. There was a powerboat we had for a few years. Then I took sailing. I signed up for sailing lessons. Took one where I learned some tying knots and did some tying knots. And there was also tying knots with the powerboat. And like when we went to the dock, and then we took the sailboat out on a first sailing, and then helped sail a boat at sunset on Waikiki. And so it is something that was like, and somewhere in there I actually went on board the Lady Washington, which is a wooden ship that was used as the ship, the Interceptor in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And so there's been a bit of like, would I be interested in like sailing a wooden ship across the ocean solo? And I was like, well, the one that's relevant there is the Atlantic Ocean, not the Pacific Ocean for my family. And as keeping in mind, my English ancestors were not the only ones to sail via wooden ship to the United States of America. That's more than one ethnicity of mine. However, in terms of sailing it solo, I was like, that's something that like, I was thinking about this last decade in the 2010s, and I was like, is there something that like would actually like, a lot of people have these like, I have some base in like skill / expertise, and like, I competed in swimming for over a decade and stuff. So there's boating background and, and swimming background, and I worked as a lifeguard, so like I like know basic water safety and rules and stuff, and have enforced it. And so, and I've been a swim instructor, so like maybe that translates to some sort of ability or drive or desire to do something kind of like out there, because I can, like, it's good to have a dream whether or not it comes true. And it's like, I might not sail the Atlantic Ocean solo for myself, and certainly not in like a modern day sailboat. That has zero appeal. However, it's something closer to like the Lady Washington or whatever Matthew Fuller sailed the Atlantic Ocean in solo, that would be very difficult per my current perspective. There's some people who are like, oh, that'd be a piece of cake. And I'm like, well, great for you, right? For me, in my skill set, that'd be quite difficult per my current perspective. And I was like, that would be one that I think I would want safety as best as I could. So like, that's one that I was like, if I were like, I was like, this is a perfect dream one, because I was like, if I were famous, and would there be like security boats? Like, they're not allowed to interfere or help or anything, but was there like, my soulmates and squirrels on boats watching us with cameras, I was like, this is like one of those ones where I was like, I would be okay with that. Like to do that in that approach. I was like, in general, like, being tailed by a bunch of cameras or a camera crew would be like a no. But if they're like on boats around the boat, and I'm like going, and I have the background, the training, and I've like practiced and stuff as relevant, that would, in honor of my ancestor, yes, that would be yes, I would actually. That would be quite a feat to see if I could do it. Yes. However, doing it for myself, that would probably be a bit more of a no, but doing it for my ancestor, that would actually be a yes. I think that might actually be a bunch of fun. So yeah, be kind of like, yeah, a fun out there to pursue if slash as applicable, if I were to rise, yeah, kind of thing. So would I sail the Atlantic Ocean solo to carry on the legacy of my ancestor Matthew Fuller? Yeah, that'd be kind of fun, actually.